Sometimes when you're pen testing, it's fun just to do a denial of service. So let's talk about denial of service attacks and what we can do to defend against them. So we have some goals that you can tell us what denial of service and distributed denial of service, or DOS and DDoS attacks, are all about. You can understand some of the various attack techniques. You can tell us what a botnet network is, you already know. You can tell us some of the tools. You can understand some of the techniques to detect these things and the countermeasures, and use how to do this in your pen testing. So we're going to talk about DOS, DDoS concepts and common attack types and a few additional attack types and botnets and countermeasures and using it in pen testing. So let's start with the concepts. Denial of service. This is some kind of attack, almost always done across the network, that prevents a target, usually a server, from performing its normal duties. A distributed denial of service, or DDoS, is an attack where we have a coordinated attack by many attackers against one target. And some examples: flood the servers with network traffic, crash a service, consume all the available resources, or attack a protocol or an operating system or a service. So with DDoS, we have to pre-compromise systems and use them as our botnet army. So we're going to compromise multiple systems and use them all together, coordinated to attack one target. And so all of them are aimed at this targeted system. And this is typically done with a botnet to attack the system. So the attacker will designate a handler system. The handler will infect many computers all around the internet. These infected computers are now what we call zombies, and they will receive the command to attack my mindless minions. There are different categories for attacks. Some are just based on huge amounts of volume. So we could consume all the bandwidth of a target. Some are based on specially crafted packets that are fragmented that cannot be reassembled. And that would cause a CPU to go crazy. Some consume up all of the available connections, like on a web server. So we call that state exhaustion attacks. Some will attack different applications on the application layer, layer 7. So we consume up resources so a service cannot become available to legitimate users. Stress testing is a nice word for denial of service. And in fact, you can go on the internet, you can just pay by the hour for botnets to do stuff. It was like cheap as $10 an hour. It was just amazing. And they even, it's so fun, you find these places, they'll even have a customer service chat window and they'll answer your questions and all this, because they've got these botnets of thousands or hundreds of thousands of zombies ready, and you can rent them by the hour, cheap. So when they talk about denial of service, they don't call it that, they call it stress testing. It's stress testing. You, the admin, can stress test your own machine to see how it withstands an attack. Yeah. So stress testing, it's a process of determining the ability of a computer or a network or an application or a device to maintain a certain level of effectiveness under unfavorable conditions. It's basically a DOS attack or a DDoS attack. We can use bots, scripts, or whatever tools. It is often used to determine the level of traffic that a website can handle. That's the white hat version. In pen testing, it will be destructive. So you'd better make sure that you get specific authorization that permits it and that clients are aware of the implications, because you'll knock their primary money-making website off the network for a while. So they need to be aware of this. Usually denial of service, most of it is not permanent damage. As soon as you stop and the machine reboots, then they're okay. So that's our primer on denial of service. Let's get on to the next topic.